In this lesson, we're going to be looking at what happens when you type a domain name into your browser and you get returned back a web page. So how does that work? The domain name within the browser can be any domain name. So we've got an example here of google.ca. We can even use ones like Facebook, or we could go into Google and do a search for, maybe if we're searching for news, we can see that we've got a number of different web URLs that get returned, so a number of different domain names that get returned, and we can click on these domain names to access the content of those web pages. So how does that all work? So there is quite a lot that actually goes on behind the scenes that you don't actually see. When you're typing into your browser essentially is your window into the internet. And what happens is that your ISP, so that's your internet service provider, connects to its DNS server, and then it returns an IP address. Now, IP addresses are the way that you can look at them as essentially a phone number across the internet, and that's how we identify different computers that are connected via the internet. Every computer connecting on the internet needs an IP address. An IP address is set of characters up from 0 to 255 separated by dots. Basically, this is a typical IP address. So we've got a number, so this one is 172.16.254.1, and this allows our browser, our computer with using its IP address, to connect to a server that contains the website and returning back the website content. So this is the two IP addresses make that connection, they establish that connection and return back the desired content. And essentially it's our ISP that connects to the DNS server, and that DNS server is the one that returns that IP address. So every domain name actually gets translated into an IP address before we can see the content of the server, and it's the DNS server that does that. And basically what it does, it finds the top level domain, the TLD, and then it returns the IP address of that domain or those domains on that server, establishing the connection between the two computers. And as for top level domains, so top level domain is actually, so we're looking at facebook.com, and that top level domain is actually the .com. You want to see even more top level domains, so most commonly there's .coms, .orgs, .nets, .edu, .gov, .mil for military. There's quite a lot of different top level domains, but when you scroll down even more, so I'm just looking at Wikipedia here, and you can see that every country has its own top level domain, and this is essentially how the different addresses get identified. And then an address like facebook.com, so the .com is the actual top level domain, and then the Facebook is the next level domain, and that's how it identifies it. And all of this is registered as .com domains, and it all gets registered and returned back via the DNS server, so the IP addresses get returned back. So in the next lesson, we're going to move along and look at how the browser actually connects to the server and everything that happens in the background, and what happens when that browser establishes the connection to the server, what gets returned, and how that works, and how you're actually able to view the web page content as desired. So that's coming up in the next lesson.